Hello, my name is Robbie. I go by the pronouns he, him, and we are here to play session 2 of the game Sorcerer by Ron Edwards. We are dealing with a game where we have defined demons as social media junkies. And the setting of our game of Sorcerer is the most magical place on Earth, which we define in terms of Orlando's theme park empires, which is not to say that all the scenes are on theme park property, although we had a scene last week that was on a theme park property. But just, we are in the Orlando area, and certainly the theme parks, the attractions are a inescapable part of the region, and they cast their shadow virtually everywhere in the surroundings of Orlando. We've defined sorcery in terms of, I will drop the phrase and then maybe explain it a little bit, algorithmic alchemy, that there's, in terms of the character's knowledge of demons and sorcery and summoning demons, binding them, there's something that is being gleaned from the kind of algorithms operating in social media on the internet, that there's something that that is being gained through that internet world that is assisting the characters to tap into sorcerer's powers. And in this game, we're defining humanity in terms of identity and empathy, with the logic being that in the social media world, when you get sucked into it, it will oftentimes take its toll on an individual's sense of identity and also on their ability to connect with others empathically. So the game of Sorcerer, you have humanity as a score that will fluctuate in the course of the game. And as you lose your humanity with the game that we're playing, that would indicate a loss of your identity and your ability to empathize with others. So I'm going to have Alejandro, who is playing Chuck, to introduce himself, introduce his character, and also just say a little bit about what transpired last week.
Hello, I am Alejandro. I'm excited to be playing Sorcerer after a long, long time. I'm playing Chuck, who is a military brat that's been banished from the family for dabbling with witchcraft and devilry. Last week, his little brother, came to him in need of help because apparently somebody is harassing the family, and the family blames Chuck. There were images of dismembered chickens, like ritualized dismembered chickens, on his front and back porch. Turned out that his mother's cell phone was possessed by a demon. So he took the demon and his little brother and his own demon to his room, where he was going to do a binding ritual. A binding ritual? No. What kind of ritual was it?
It was a contained ritual, yes.
Yeah. Incidentally, Chuck has a demon that is in the shape of a small cat, or any small, a cat or cat-sized animal. In the process of performing the containing ritual, he cut his brother's hand and had him like trace over the mason jar with runes not because the spell required it, but to appease his demon's what's it called? His demon's need. And so far we have a contained phone demon in a jar, and then the game ended for Chuck with going to the club where works as a bouncer to watch Dylan perform and get contacted by, I don't remember who, to perform, to be security at a highfalutin dinner party or something like that.
Yeah, so there's a person named Winifred Levane who was in touch at the very end of last session with Chuck and was looking for some discrete okay. So yeah, Winifred is looking for some discrete security at a big party that's going to be held at the mansion of a guy named Stuart Barfield. Okay, and Stuart Barfield is a kind of reclusive figure. He's the kind of person, though, whose name periodically will appear as like an executive producer of a movie or a TV show. But he's somebody who obviously has some power and clout, but works kind of off in the wings to kind of set up mergers or deals between companies and things of that sort. And there's apparently a big party that's going to go on at his mansion. And this person, Winifred Levane, was asking Chuck to provide some discrete security. And where we haven't really established where Chuck's mother and father currently reside. They do not reside in Orlando, but where are they currently living? You're muted.
I would imagine that they are not in Florida, but obviously close enough that his little brother can get there. They move around with the military, so you would have better information as to where they might be. Biloxi? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be Biloxi. I was thinking it could be, we could put them in, depending on what branch of the military. I mean, Norfolk would be a little up the coast, but they have Navy presence there.
Well, because his dad was pretty abusive, so I'm going stereotype here. So I was thinking Marines, but it could be Navy. I don't know.
Yeah, Biloxi sounds good. Biloxi, Mississippi.
I just went with Biloxi because of the movie Biloxi Blues, which I never saw.
But Biloxi actually has a special place in my heart because when I first started to play role-playing games, it was when I was in high school many years ago in Mobile, Alabama. And we did not have any game store in Mobile that really sold role-playing games. And so the closest place we had was somewhere around Biloxi, Mississippi, that there was some game shop over there. And I would periodically, with my friends, go over to that Biloxi area for the game shop. All right, and that sounds good. And then we did name the club that you work at, which is called The Smell, and we established that Walter's character Sean, in terms of his apartment, it is an apartment that is above the smell, above even though Walter doesn't really go into the smell very much.
Yeah.
but he's like in the
It was just the
vicinity.
cheapest place it was a cheap place that Sean could afford to live in. Yeah, but he doesn't actually like punk music.
So yeah, Walter, if you want to introduce your character a little bit and tell us what happened last week.
Yeah, so Sean is a young, fairly clean cut in appearance young man who joined this cult, which we got a name last week. It's the Eighth Laurel. And so when Sean's not blogging about the Eighth Laurel, which is his passion and where he's found community and identity, he works at Universal World. And there's a new Perry Hatterland based on the famous books and movies that he's working at. They just opened it. And so there was a oh, right, okay, so we started off. The kicker for Sean was that his blog about the Eighth Laurel cult like exploded and suddenly was super popular, and we decided that it was a blog post in which he draws these parallels between the Eighth Laurel and all the Perry Hatter books. And so some local news got a hold of that and decided, oh, well, you know, this is super popular on the internet and Perry Hatter World's opening up, so we should interview you. And they actually managed to set up the interview to happen. Sean had nothing to do with this, but someone else behind the scenes set up the interview to happen at Universal World at the, you know, in the new Perry Hatter like facilities. And so Sean's like dressed up in his, like, you know, uniform that he, you know, is like a costume, like a Perry Hatter costume kind of basically. Yeah, did an interview. Now, I think the most interesting part of what happened in the interview is that, so we met Sean's demon, Aaron, who during the possession, Sean lost 1 point of humanity. We kind of did that role at the beginning of the session. And one of the ways we justified that is that in the fiction is that Sean had actually known Aaron as another member of the cult before the summoning, and Sean had summoned his demon, Arathael, into Aaron's body to take over Aaron's body and pushed Aaron's soul and mind completely out as far as we can tell. And so, yeah, now this demon is walking around in Aaron's body. And so we decided that seemed like a good way to explain the loss of humanity, that he like willfully possessed one of his friends with a demon, or not necessarily a friend, but someone that he knew, had interacted with. So while they were getting ready to do the interview with I think Sylvia was her name, the person interviewing Sean. Yeah, Sylvia O'Connor. They decided that it would be fun to Aaron. One of the things that one of the needs of Aaron, the demon, is to have influence over people. And so in order to have influence over Sylvia, during the interview, while it was being taped, Sean got Sylvia to recite the oath. Wait, did Sylvia recite it, or was it just? I think they left it in the interview. I think we ended up Sean was able to pass off the oath of the Eighth Laurel as though it was the oath from the Perry Hatter movies, but almost got Sylvia to say it herself on the camera, but the role didn't work out. That didn't quite happen. But in any case, we got it out there, so that was fun, and managed to fool Sylvia on that account. Yeah, and that's pretty much where we ended up. And then we were saying in the comments afterwards that after the interview, Sean was blogging about the whole event, while Dylan was playing downstairs in the smell.
Yeah, and yeah, the way the interview worked is you were able to confuse Sylvia with the help of your demon, so that she was kind of confused when you dropped in this oath from the 8th Laurel into the interview, and then you were trying to follow that up with, I think it was the taint move, which did not work. But you nonetheless were right. If the taint had been successful, then the hope was that you would get her to also join in this oath on camera. And the taint did not work, but yeah, you at least did drop in the oath of the 8th Laurel, which stayed in there, and this is now on the internet. I mean, this was not a primetime TV news kind of operation, but it is there as, you know, in this TV station's internet presence. And so, and it's, you know, I think we were, you know, suggesting that this was kind of taking off, that people were taking note of the interview and kind of gravitating towards that oath of the 8th Laurel that was included in there. Okay, and then that brings us to Jenny. And Jenny, if you want to tell us a little bit about your character. And one thing that I had forgot to do on the character creation session is I think we need to get you to take a humanity roll, because when you bind your demon, that involves a humanity check. And you start off with a bound demon, but it also does necessitate a humanity check. So Jenny, if you want to go on and talk a little bit about your character, and then we'll do the humanity roll, and then we'll get into a scene with your character.
Hi, I'm Jenny, she, her, and my character is Dylan Walsh. He is a musician who sort of stumbled into the demon summoning thing because it seemed like a good idea at the time. He doesn't really know what he's doing, and his demon is Korbantos, who is pretending to be his, well, who actually is, I guess, his fake girlfriend. And they cohabitate, and it wants creative control, and it has been doing some things to maintain that.
Okay. And for okay, so at the beginning you start with a bound demon, but it does say as part of that you do need to make a humanity check. So the sorcerer must roll their humanity versus the demon's power. So your humanity, I can find it here. Your humanity is 7, so you're going to roll 7 dice, and I am going to roll 8.
7d10.
Okay. Let me make my way over to the.
Okay, so I rolled as purple.
Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to roll. So you're, I rolled the silver, and we both rolled a 9. So those just get taken aside, and then you're the next highest one with an 8. So what this means is you succeeded with that. So you do not lose any humanity as a result of that.
This is great.
So let's start with Jenny. I've been debating whether we should go to the scene where the band member gets hurt by your demon, or we could do the aftermath of that.
So I would say the aftermath, because we already know what happens and we do have a veil on violence.
Okay. Yeah, so let's tell me, during a normal day, Jenny, in terms of performing, that would be mostly in the evenings that you would perform. But during a typical day, what would Jenny be doing, let's say, in the early afternoon?
Working at a soul-crushing job that I'm way too good for.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, and it would be, yeah, Dylan.
Yes.
So what kind of a job would this be, like a...
So I believe I said that it was a very touristy restaurant. So it's trying very hard to be cool, and it's deeply inauthentic. Everything is overpriced. Food is greasy. My manager is awful, but it does allow me to have my evenings free.
Okay. So it's in the restaurant that this scene will take place, and let's give your band member a name. The one who got injured.
Jonathan.
Okay. So it's in the afternoon. That the restaurant is not particularly busy at this time. It's kind of after the big lunch rush. So around, let's say, 3 o'clock. And you are, after the big lunch rush, you're kind of, there's a lot of cleanup to do, right? When the rush is happening, there's not enough time to clean up, but you're in the middle of kind of cleaning up some of the tables. And you see, walking through the door of the restaurant, you see Jonathan. Jonathan is, you can still see that he has some bruise around his, his face has bruises, and he has his arm in a cast, in a sling. And he sees you and smiles and comes walking over to you. So what do you do?
So I sort of flinch seeing that, because seeing the consequences of my decision is never pleasant. And then I put on that smile that I would use in a performance. And in this very jolly voice, I'm just like, "Hey, Jonathan, you're up and walking again. That's great."
Yeah, and does with respect to this incident that happened, I guess we should establish whether, does Jonathan know that you were involved with that incident?
I'd say that I was there. I did the proper shock and horror things, and also dissuaded him from calling the cops on my girlfriend.
Okay. So yeah, Jonathan says, Dylan, it's nice to see you. I'm still recovering, as you can see, but I'm getting back on my feet. I'm wondering, how is it going with the band these days?
Oh, it's going great. We played another show last night, and It went really well. The fans really liked us, but my eyes kind of like slide away for a moment because we did not play the song that Jonathan and I wrote.
Yeah, that's great that you're still playing and things are going well. It's been a tough time for me. I've been, out of commission for, a couple weeks. I don't know that I'm going to be able to play on the band anytime soon, but I would be curious as to, when I do get, my arm back to normal, have you found somebody to fill in for me, or, what's the status of me and the band these days?
I mean, yeah, we found someone to fill in, but you don't have to worry, man. They're not you. And you've been a part of this since the beginning. And as soon as you're able to, we'll bring you right back up. I think things are going to work out.
Okay. You're Dylan's demon, who goes. Corey Bontos is the name of the demon. Bell is the name when undercover. Bell is not physically there, but you have a link with Corey Bontos. The link does not establish complete telepathy. With your link, of each other's whereabouts, and you gain some idea of what is happening around the other. Corey Bontos has definitely picked up on the fact that there's some type of communication going on between you and Jonathan, and you feel, as I say, it's not a perfect telepathic, empathic link, although you can pick up a vague sense that, I guess, a kind of hatred that's kind of coming through Corey Bontos.
Yeah, this is kind of distracting. I mean, I'm dealing with my demon's hatred while at the same time trying to have a conversation where I comfort my friend who I sort of betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of extremely betrayed. So when do you think you're gonna be back?
I don't know. The doctors are saying I've got pins in this arm, and it's going to take a little bit of, and I have to go to, some rehabilitation every day to kind of get it back. The strength's coming back, but it's probably going to be still another month before, I'm able to kind of play with any kind of facility.
Well, take it easy. And secretly, I'm glad because we'll give Corey Bontos some time to cool off. That's going to work out.
And Jonathan asks, he says, well, when's your next performance? Are you going to be at the Smell anytime soon?
Yeah, I think we're doing one Friday night. Are you thinking about coming?
Yeah, that would be okay. I'd love to see the band.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, meet up with us while we're still backstage.
Okay. And with that, Jonathan will, I think he seems soothed, happy to see you, kind of happy to know that there might still be a place for him on the band. And so, he's going to kind of file out of the restaurant. I would say that towards the end of your shift, Belle shows up, and you're wrapping up. You finish it. Belle is there. It's kind of normal to see Belle at the end of your shift. And Belle says, Dylan, what happened today?
Well, I was at work and I was thinking that my next song could be about, I was thinking about titling it The Fire Sermon. And Jonathan showed up. He seemed pretty happy to see me.
Jonathan. Yeah, so what kind of shape is Jonathan in?
He's doing better.
Well, you know that me and Jonathan don't see eye to eye. I mean, I guess it's okay that he's doing better. Did you talk to him about moving on? You know, we have the band operating at peak performance now. Jonathan isn't really a needed element anymore.
Come on, Corey. We've talked about this. Jonathan's been with the band since the beginning, and the fans really like him. The band works well with him. I don't think we can just replace him.
Well, we'll see. I do feel like the band is on the right track. And I feel like the band is doing so much better without him. I think, but let's go on and give the replacement band member a name. We could call him maybe Scott. Scott, he's tearing it up, and maybe we should just wait and see about Jonathan, because, if things continue to look up for the band, I don't see why we should break it up.
I don't get along well with Scott. I don't know why you said we had to bring him in.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think give Scott a little bit of time. I mean, when did Jonathan say he would be back ready to perform again? It can't be soon.
Why? You want me to tell you so you can beat him up again?
I don't think I'm going to need to beat him up again. What kind of shape did he look in?
He looked better. All I'm asking for is a little bit of trust. Come on, we've built this together. You don't have to control everything.
Well, what I would say is let's just see how the band does. And, and we'll see how Jonathan fares in his recovery. Sometimes these recoveries can be tricky things. Sometimes they can take a little bit longer than what you're thinking. And I don't know that we should let Jonathan come back until we know that he's 100% and able to give his all to the band. And that may be a while.
So I give it a very wary look. My eyes narrowed, and then I just say, maybe. But if you do anything to interfere with that, then it's over between us.
Well, when you say that, Corey's eyes get a little bit narrow. You can tell that Corey is not especially happy. And Corey will just say, "We'll see. We will see."
That freaks me out, to be blunt.
Okay. And I think what we'll do is, Corey will kind of go walking away at this point too. You can tell that Corey is a little upset and seething. And let me do a scene with Sean. So this, I guess, just in terms of time frame, there's going to be a performance later in the week that involves Dylan down at the swamp. That's going to be on Friday. The big affair with Mr. Barfield at the mansion is going to be on Saturday. And Walter, I can't remember, it was established last week that Walter had been invited. I mean, I'm sorry, that Sean had been invited to this party at the mansion of Stuart Barfield.
Yeah. Sean had received an email. I don't remember what was in the, like, if there was like a reason given for requesting his attendance.
I do think it also came from Winifred. I think it had something, there was some mention in there of the TV interview that Winifred was aware of Sean working some of the social media front and blog post, and was aware that he was a young face and that he had been gaining some notoriety as a result of what was going on with the cult, and thought that Winifred wanted to have some kind of fresh young faces at this soiree where there would be, a lot of people who would be of the older set there, but, wanted kind of some young, vibrant faces that would be in the mix, and people who might be like pseudo celebrities or, up and comers or things like that.
Right. And I think we also ended up describing how this cult may have had, like, it has its tendrils kind of in the movers and shakers around the Orlando area. So that may have had something to do with it as well.
Yes.
I feel like there's this kind of I don't know, like it's implicit that a lot of things are happening are being orchestrated by others beyond Sean's knowledge, and Sean's just going for the ride right now. Sean thinks it's all because of his brilliant blog posts, of course.
Yeah. So, we'll have a scene a little bit later in the week. When you meet with your master, now last week there was a time when Diana, who is your master, had appeared in your apartment, which was kind of unusual. Where would you normally meet up with Diana? Would it be at the cult building?
I think Diana is one of the, like, higher ups. She's not like one of the figureheads of the cult, but she's like kind of on like one of the, she's like on one of the like senior councils, right? She's not like a popular face of the cult, but she's definitely one of the like influential people within the cult. But I think she also has like her own offices somewhere else. And it's like not clear what these offices are for. Like you go inside and it's just like, it's got like her name on the front door, and you go inside and it's just like a desk and whatnot. But I think like in the there's like a back room to the office that is filled with like occult books and things like that. And I think that is where I've like been studying under her as an apprentice to learn about demons. So I'm yeah, so that's kind of what I'm imagining. and that I think it is like outside the cult. I think her demon expertise is her own side gig aside from the cult.
Correct. Yeah. So, yes, Alejandro, your video is red. Are you still there?
Yes, it is red.
Yeah, I am here. I don't know what just happened. I'm going to drop out and come back in.
Okay.
Okay.
We could wonder if he needs to do that. We could take a little 5-minute break.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
he's coming. Alejandro, are you there?
I don't know what's going on.
I was saying to the others, we could take a little quick 5-minute break right now. And during that time, if you wanted to, I mean, I think we would be able to manage with the red screen. But if we took a 5-minute break, we could also see if you're able to get it working again.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to restart the. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we'll take 5 minutes and come back, and we'll see what happens with Sean and Diana.
Okay. Sounds good.
How you doing, Walter?
Sleepy. I did not get enough sleep last night.
I literally did not sleep at all. Not
Oh,
like, yeah. I have insomnia, and sometimes it has me, of which last night was that. How's Brazil? Just kidding. I know it was just one time. You're gonna have to tolerate a lot of really stupid jokes today, because that's how I get when I'm tired.
okay. That's fair. Yeah, I get when I get really tired, I get songs playing in my head. Like I hear songs in my head, and it's usually like the same song, and it just like plays over and over again, and I can't stop hearing it in my head. That happens to me when I'm tired for some reason.
Have you heard of the game Never Tell Me the Odds?
No, is it like a Star Wars based thing?
I think no. Well, I think it's a. I get the impression it's a Star Wars with the the serial numbers filed off. I just got it in the email a few days ago. It was a Kickstarter, and it was a $10 Kickstarter, and it looked interesting. I'm flipping through it right now, and I don't know.
Nice. There's a lot of Kickstarters right now. This the Kickstarter Zine Quest thing is totally nuts. I've never seen so many role-playing games, like interesting looking role-playing games all at once.
Yeah, it's like crack. I spent too much money on that.
Yeah, I can't even keep up with them all. Like I don't even know all the ones that are being launched because I just don't have time literally to like go through all their pages.
Yeah, I've been going through a lot of suggestions, and because they're so cheap, they're like $5 to $10. And I like the themes a lot, like most of their themes. So yeah, I'm having fun just exploring that.
Yeah, it's neat.
You're in San Francisco or Sacramento, right?
San Francisco, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Where are you about? I forget.
Orange County.
Okay. Okay, right. Yeah, there's quite a lot of Gauntleteers in Southern California.
Yeah, north of me, about an hour north of me. There's like a really good, Tomare has a really good Tuesday group, but it's
Oh,
just too far for me. Like this, like at a gaming store, they've got like a solid like meetup.
nice.
Yeah, but I can't do it. So
Yeah, there's not a there's no kind of story game meetup in the Bay Area right now that I've heard of. Nothing regular.
that's
Not like
really
an open
interesting.
one.
Yeah, that's interesting because this Big Bad Com is based out of that area, isn't it? And
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of gamers here.
there's a lot of story gamers there, is my understanding. But not, I guess.
We just lost one of our stores too. There was I mean it's kind of like it's been a mainstay in the story game thing for a while. It's called Endgame,
Yeah,
and they
I'm
like just closed. Like in Fiasco, Jason Morningstar like credits some of the like playtesting happening at Endgames in Oakland, but
yeah,
alas, they are no more.
yeah. I'm aware of them. I think that they're pretty like when I was into gaming a long time ago, I really wanted to um, go to that store. It was a pretty interesting store, but I never did.
Yeah, closed before I ever made it there.
All right. Yeah, and I did see Walter. You want to leave at around 12:30, so we'll plan on going for another hour or so, and maybe hopefully leave some time at the end so that we can kind of do a quick little debrief. But I think that would be perfectly fine for me to try to break it off a little bit early this morning.
Okay, thanks. That would help me a lot.
Okay, so we're gonna. You have regular meetings with Diana in this office, and you come in for one of your regular meetings, and Diana is there, and it seems pretty normal. But I would say that Diana seems she's smiling when you come in and says, Sean, have a seat. There's some interesting news to relate to you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, Sean pulls up one of the desks that's kind of on the front side of her. Pulls out one of the chairs on the front side of her desk, and where clients would sit, and sits in that chair across from her.
And we should maybe establish it. Would Aaron be with you at this meeting?
He could be, yeah. Maybe he's already there.
Okay. Yeah, so Aaron is sitting down there as well. And that's not unusual either. I mean, that there are a lot of times these meetings that Aaron would be along with you.
I'm imagining Aaron he doesn't live with me or something, but that he just pops up all the time. I don't know when he's gonna just knock on my door for breakfast or whatever. He just shows up whenever he wants.
And Diana says, you've been doing wonderfully for the 8th Laurel, and your blog is doing so well. This interview that you did with Sylvia O'Connor has become a kind of strange hit. That there are now people who have looked at that, and that they see this strange, what is to them a strange oath, and we've been looking out, and there are people who are shooting little videos of themselves saying this oath, and we've also been having people kind of write into the 8th Laurel who have either read your blog, or they've seen this interview, or there's something else that they have come across in the social media world, and things just really are going very, very well.
That's awesome. Yeah, my accounts are blowing up. I mean, I can't respond to everybody on Twitter. I've been, between going to work, I have to spend my breaks at work just responding to everybody on Twitter who's getting back to me and retweeting, and I mean, it's great. This is really awesome. It's making me wonder how up on all their feeds. It's amazing. It's like a dream come true. I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that we should use this as an opportunity for us.
Oh?
And given the increased popularity, I think it would be good to do a few things. I think it would be great to condense other teachings of the 8th Laurel into nice bite-sized chunks that we can send out in the form of tweets or hashtags or things of that nature, so that we have more of the 8th Laurel's message distributed to
that's
the general
a great idea. And that's so that's just so with the modern times. I mean, if Jesus had been around today, he would have tweeted all his teachings. It just makes sense. I mean, that's how people communicate now.
Absolutely. And I have another idea that both you and Aaron, I think, might be perfectly equipped to investigate.
What's that?
Well, I'm wondering if, along with this social media push that we are making, if we could include other messages in the mix as well, and whether it might be possible to lace those messages with some sorcery as a way of not just, pushing out the message of the eighth laurel, but to see whether we could use some of this messaging to start really influencing people.
Wow. You mean really like accelerating this message and really helping people to take the oath of the eighth laurel and all the amazing teachings of the eighth laurel and community and just like feeling, feeling healed in oneself, like all that people can just like, yeah, it'll like help bring it alive for people. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it seems to be something that's already started. And, I know something of how you handled that interview with Sylvia O'Connor to kind of manipulate things. But I'm wondering if through the social media, we could kind of, further accelerate, further push out this message. And we could kind of look at ways of using some of our algorithmic alchemy in the circuitry of the internet itself to kind of get people interested in our message and to see, and also just to investigate, to experiment a little bit to see exactly what we could push.
That's a great idea. I'm like thinking about the tweets that I've been getting, and I've been getting so many tweets from people who are like, wow, like I feel like when I read I feel like when I read the writings of the eighth laurel, like somebody gets me, and like, I found a new path. I mean, I've been reading all these great tweets from people who really like found something important to them through seeing this interview and getting exposed to all this. But there's also like, there's these haters and there's these trolls. Like there's people who, are like saying nonsense. Like, I mean, like over and over, I hear people being like, oh, that's the eighth laurel oath. That's not from Perry Hatter. And I'm just like, you don't get it. I mean, these people, they just don't get it. Like, if we could just like get rid of those people somehow, right? Like their messages are just so like, that's the worst part about social media. Really, but there's got to be a way to like clean social media, right? So that it's pure. Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. And it brings to my mind, whether at some point, along with the social media that we're putting out there, we could think about starting to target some of those trolls. It would be interesting to see whether we could actually maybe flip some of those trolls, some of those haters, and particularly ones who might be popular and who might have a following. I mean, it would be so cool if we could kind of get some of them to actually reverse course and embrace the message of the eighth laurel.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Oh, Dana, you always have these amazing insights. I'm really just, I want to thank you again for introducing me to this knowledge. It's really changed the way that I think about everything, about my life and about the eighth laurel. Yeah, this just sounds like a calling, like what I'm meant to be doing.
And Aaron is there, and he's lighting up as well. And he looks over to you and says, Sean, this sounds like such a great opportunity. I can't wait to see what we can do with this. Do you think that we could, get started on this immediately? Do you think tonight when we go back, we can maybe put our heads together and start getting some of this messaging going?
Yeah, absolutely. We totally should. Oh, I even got this green screen. It just arrived from Amazon. So now I can like put whatever backdrop I want behind me when I'm doing my my vlogs. It's going to be super cool. We could play with that too.
Okay, so I would say that after this meeting, it wraps up. Everybody is excited. Are you after that meeting going to go back to? I mean, Aaron is. I mean, he's lit up. Aaron is looking forward to kind of putting some effort into this.
All right. Yeah, sounds great.
So I think what maybe we will do is, I mean, you get back, you do most of your social media work in your apartment.
Yeah. I think I just do it in like my apartment and my computer. That's all I have right now. I don't even have a very nice computer, or I have like a cheap webcam. I'm just starting to upgrade my equipment now that I have more than a few dozen viewers of each of my videos.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, the next time you get back in front of your computer and Aaron is there, Aaron has already put together some ideas as to how some of these kind of powers of influence might be able to kind of be broadcast in some way through kind of messaging that would be sent out. And this would have to do with periodically, kind of odd phrases that would get kind of thrown into the message that would I guess have some vague relationship to something that you would be saying about the eighth laurel or something like that. But they would be kind of these curious hashtags and phrases.
I'm imagining they're like hashtags, and then there's like you can get like these like international fonts that'll do like all kinds of different like any language you want, and that there's like somehow he's managed to like hack that system and like create these fonts that don't actually exist, so there's like these weird like archaic looking scrawls that kind of appear in this Unicode as part of the hashtags.
Yeah, and I think also just discussions of how there are further mysteries, further secrets, like little carrots like that get kind of dangled out in front of people to kind of suggest that this is just the surface, but that there's some kind of more profound secrets if they will kind of continue to kind of dive into this message, that they would be able to kind of achieve some type of enlightenment from it.
Okay. Yeah, definitely that too.
Okay. And what I'm thinking some roles might be in order. And I'm thinking what we could do is a similar sequence to what you did with during the interview with Sylvia, where, part of this message that you and Aaron are trying to kind of put out there is something that would lead to some type of confusion. And then also, if you have any successes with that, it would go into the taint, right? Which would, the taint has a special effect, including physical as well as psychic malformation, with some type of temporary loss of humanity that would happen as a result of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm also trying to think about this perception ability I have. I'll just read it out loud. Let's see. User adds demon's power score to whatever score is being employed for perception. Exactly what is perceived must be defined at the outset. The effect can be aura reading, infrared vision, smell, or whatever, but no telepathy or mind sense. Oh, that's interesting. Do you perceive that exactly what is perceived must be defined at the outset? Is that something that should be defined at the outset of my taking that power? Like maybe I'm supposed to narrow down the power when I take it? I'm not sure how to interpret that description.
Correct. I remember with a few of these where it isn't really clear whether, like, for that ability, it's simply for, because yeah, there are two ways to read this with perception, and I think that there are others that are like this as well, where, oh, it's like to take the perception, you have to automatically say what the sense is, or is it just like at the beginning of a scene saying, okay, when I'm doing this perception, I'm going to zero it strictly on this type of thing.
So anyway, I had this idea related to it, which is, I mean, it says like aura reading or infrared vision. I'm wondering if like maybe I can get this like social media auras, right? Like
Yes.
maybe I can read between the lines of people's tweets and social media posts, and that's like what this perception is about for me.
Right, and that would also maybe allow you to pick up on, you know, things that seem to really be appealing to people, so that as you continue to message, you can kind of pick up on those things and accentuate those things that you would, you know, find to be really the types of things that would have some type of effect on people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what I'm thinking here then is that why don't we start with the perception and see whether, because what we could do is we could sequence these, and there is a possibility then, since you roll things in sequence, that you can take victories from one roll and use them to kind of boost,
carry over,
boost and carry over to the next roll.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's start with the perception. So you're going to add the demon's power to whatever score is being used for the perception.
Okay, and that's a 7, I believe.
Yeah, and what, you know, it's the score being employed for perception. So would you be using, would it be your lore score?
For perception?
Well, I mean, because this involves specifically perception with respect to the kinds of messages that you're sending out.
Yeah, I think it could be either, depending on how they're interpreted, right? Like, I mean, I think of like, so for will, there's like a description that goes with each of them. And I took belief system for will, which I associate with this cult that I'm a part of.
Correct.
But that's like a non-demon cult, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then there's also the lore. I've got my apprentice, which is my like demonic. So I guess it's, I mean, really both of them. Actually, yeah. I have the exact same score for either will or lore.
Right.
So we could just push that decision. Although it does seem like we should decide at some point, is that more of like a will or a lore to, I could imagine it being either. I could imagine it depending on the situation. If like, you know, if it has something to do more with like convincing someone something about this, you know, my beliefs, my like sincere beliefs in the 8th laurel, then that would be will. But if it has to do more with like, well, I'm using my demonic power through social media right now, then that would be with lore. So it might just depend on the circumstance a little more.
Right.
Because probably both of those aspects are coming out of in social media for me.
Right. Yeah, and in this case, it's, you know, in terms of how many you roll, it's somewhat moot. But I'm almost thinking that with this one, because of the way that you're trying to kind of influence people, and that there does seem to be something kind of sorcerous or demonic about this, that it would be the 4 from the lore, and then you get 7 for the demon's power. And this goes, okay, so why don't you go on and roll that? That gives you a total of
11 dice. Okay. So I'm gonna clear the.
Yeah, go in and clear everything.
To start with. If I can find that button to clear everything. There, is that it? Okay. So 11 10-sided dice. Bling.
Okay. And the opposed roll, this is kind of challenging with this to figure out what you should be rolling for the opposed. I'm going to choose a number like, you know, scores usually, you know, this doesn't seem to be a super difficult task. I mean, you're kind of right in your wheelhouse in terms of the knowledge. I'm thinking, you know, typical scores that you would be rolling up against would be in the 3 to 4 range, like when it comes to like what a normal stamina will lower score. So in terms of like what the normal, you know, mindset of the people on the internet would be, and I'm going to just say we'll roll 4 as the opposed roll here and see what comes up. So we get the 2 10s that would cancel out, and then you get 1 success, 1 victory, right? Because you're 9, and then I have an 8. So you get 1 victory, and let's roll that then into the confuse roll. This would then be your ability to kind of put out a message that would cause people to lose some of their kind of rational faculties. And so you're going to match the demon's power against the target's will. So let's go in and clear those out. So your demon's power is a 7. So if you want to roll 7 die.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to go with the standard 4 for what the general will would be that you would be matched up against. Okay, so you did pretty well. We both rolled 10, so those get taken out, but then you have 1, 2, 3 victories.
Yeah. No, I got a +1. Oh, so I should have gotten an extra die. Is that what that +1 means?
Yeah. Yeah. Just take a different color and add 1 more that you roll in there. You've already got 3 victories with that, but yeah, roll 1 more of a different color because you got 1 victory from that previous.
Okay. So, came up a 1, didn't matter.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna have a message that's, you know, has some effect on confusing people, and then finally, let's roll the 3 victories into a taint roll for you.
Okay.
And well, this one is okay. So the target makes a humanity check versus the demon's power. So you're going to roll 10 dice for this one, right? Because you get 7 for your demon's power plus the 3 victory dice that you can roll into this one.
Okay. Also, I'm trying to remember if this is like influencing more than a single individual. Is there like a negative die or something? I'm trying to remember.
This is
correctly.
It doesn't really. I guess the way it's written, it seems like normally there would be a single target. And what you're doing here, as Diana has suggested, is a little bit of an experiment, right? Because normally with sorceress powers, there's a sense that you're like right in front of somebody and that there's like one person that you're trying to influence. This is like a kind of experimental attempt to see whether some of these powers could be kind of distributed effectively in some way or form through the internet.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's see. So then I get the power +3, so that's 10 dice for this next roll to taint.
Right.
All right. Oh, I got a pretty good roll this time.
Yep. And let me roll the 4, which I would say would be a kind of standard humanity of the general public out there that would be looking at this. So you still get, I rolled a 9 as my highest one. So you have 2 victories on that one. So you and Aaron are at your, you have your green screen going on. You are writing your blog, and Aaron is assisting you in putting together this this message. I think Aaron says, "Sean, I think this is going well. I feel like we are doing something that's never really been done before, but I feel like there's something going on with this messaging that we're putting together."
Yeah, we're really making people's lives better. This is I just feel like I have so much purpose right now. Aaron, this is amazing. I'm so glad you're working with me on this.
Yeah, and it's getting late. I mean, you all are kind of burning the midnight oil to do this.
Yeah, even the like last stragglers from the punk club from the smell have like wandered off. Like it's actually quiet here. It's like 4 in the morning now.
Right.
I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, oh, I have a morning shift at the park. Maybe I should get some sleep, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm exhausted myself as well. So yeah, let's call it a night, and maybe later in the day tomorrow we can kind of see what maybe has happened as a result of the work we've done here.
That's a great, yeah. I can't wait. I bet my Twitter feed's gonna explode at work. It's gonna be great. My phone's gonna be buzzing all day long.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Chuck now, and Chuck, I'm gonna go back in time to the scene when you pulled off the containment. You feel like you have the cell phone in a mason jar, and the mason jar has some of Billy's blood smeared on the outside of it. And at the end of that scene, what do you say to Billy? I mean, Billy doesn't know what to think about what has happened, and he's seen you do some kind of strange incantation. To do this, you also had kind of turned on your computer and had some kind of strange electronic noises coming from your computer that also formed into a kind of vague type of chant. What do you
It was like the modem sound that kind of was encrypted into like a chant. Yeah, well, not encrypted, but functioned as a chant. Yeah. I feel like after it's done, he's just kind of like a little shocked and taken aback, and just kind of is not sure if he should be disgusted or not, because I'm his older brother, and and I'm like, I look at him, I go, little brother, what was his name? His name was Billy, right?
Billy, yeah.
I'm like, little brother, Billy, this world is a lot bigger than Mom and Pop told us. There's a lot more to learn.
Yeah, and Billy says, it just seems like the world is spinning right now. I mean, the you know, over in Biloxi, things initially were so peaceful, but I don't know. These chickens' bodies started to appear, and Mom and Dad sometimes, I don't know if they're getting paranoid or what, but they sometimes talk about how they think somebody's following them. They talk about seeing a kind of old, beat up blue Lincoln that's around the area, but seems to, be trailing them sometimes, but they can never kind of figure out like who's driving it. It doesn't seem to belong in the neighborhood or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. But they're stuck in their ways and they're old, and Dad is really, really mad that he found me in in this practice. And I doubt anybody's following them. I think they're just paranoid, and you just got to give them time. I mean, obviously there's something going on with Mom's phone. I don't know how she picked this up, but ultimately I think they're fine. I think we took care of the problem here, and I mean, if anything else happens, let me know. But I put my hand on his shoulder. We're good, little brother. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've got a lot to process right now, but I think maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I should just go back to Biloxi and try to reassure them that I found you and that you're doing well.
Yeah, stay the night. Stay the night. There's a show tonight. What's Dylan's band's name?
Yeah, Dylan, give us the name of your band. I don't know that we've established.
The Fisher Kings. I hope that's not a real band name. I'm not going to Google it because it probably is.
No, that's good. The Fisher Kings are playing tonight. They're good, and you can go home fresh in the morning.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I am kind of tired, but taking in some music sounds great, and yeah, appreciate the being able to stay here for the night, and it'll be a long trip back, so yeah, that sounds good. And I think that we established when this scene happened that you had been starting to kind of set up for the show, right?
Yeah, it started out at the smell, then we went up, and then the owner came.
Right, right, and it was telling you to get that you needed to kind of get things set up down there. Okay, yeah. So you are you going to go, like Billy's going to hang out there, and you're going to go and continue the setup for the show?
Yeah.
Okay, and this will be the evening that the Fisher Kings are performing. So Dylan, when your band is setting up, I imagine you come in, an hour or so before the show's going to start to start setting things up. So first of all, let's establish, does Belle accompany you when you go to your shows?
Of course. She's our biggest fan.
and also wants to make sure that like some type of acknowledgement of her creative muse-like power is acknowledged in some way. Okay. So yeah, you show up at the smell. You've performed here before. You know, you see a couple of bartenders there. You see Chuck, the bouncer, who is there, and I think we need to establish whether you are. I mean, you know each other, but we haven't established whether you would know that you are sorcerers. We could do this. I guess what we could do is we could do it as a roll. There would be a way to do a perception check on both of your parts to determine this. And I think the way that this would work would be we could roll. I don't know, you could roll lore versus cover. Lore would be your understanding of sorcery. So that would make sense that you would roll that as kind of your perception of whether there's sorcery in the area. And then the cover is, you know, the ability to kind of mask that kind of sorcery. So if we do it that way, Jenny, let me.
Can you post the rolling the roll point part, because I lost it when I had to restart.
Yeah, I got it here. Oh, just 1 second. All right, so Jenny, your lore is 1. And so you would roll 1 die against Chuck's cover, which is a 3.
Should we clear the board first?
Yeah, go on and clear the board. Yeah, we get a lot of dice in this game.
So cover is versus will?
What I'm thinking is lore. The person who's trying to detect would be rolling their lore, because that would have something to do with their knowledge of sorcery and being able to pick up on it, versus the cover of the other person.
Oh, okay. So it's not it's not the demon's cover. It's the player or the character's cover. Okay.
Well, yeah, because you have both that are there. I wonder if we should do.
I think that makes sense. I think that's fine. I mean, the
against the character's cover. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what that's for, right?
Right. Your cover is part of it, is like your ability to kind of blend in and not be detected as a sorcerer, but just as like a bouncer or whatever. So Jenny, you would roll one die, and Alejandro, you would roll 3 for this.
I'll let Jenny roll first.
I did, and it's all D10s?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have a 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with that one, Chuck's cover holds up. So Dylan is not particularly tuned in. to Chuck being a sorcerer, and then we do the reverse. So you can go on and clear those, and Alejandro, you'll roll 4 dice for your lore, and Jenny, you will roll. I think you have a 7 cover. Okay.
Yeah, she beat me.
Yeah.
Oh, those labels do not work.
Yeah, but yeah, we can see. So, yeah, so neither one of you are fully tuned in to each other being sorcerers. And, you know, as I said, in this world, sorcery is quite rare. So, you know, it's like, why would you be necessarily tuned into, right? You're not expecting other sorcerers to be walking around. So you get in there and you start setting up, and the evening starts. I mean, the patrons start to file in. With respect to Sean, I mean, this will be late in the evening. Now, Sean, you're not normally in there, but would you be up in your apartment again?
Yeah, blogging away.
Okay.
Is this the next night, or this is the same night that we talked about already?
I think this would be another night. This is going to be a Friday evening, though. Okay. And you know, Friday evening is a big night for the stink. Is that what we called it? The smell,
the swamp, something like that.
Yeah, the smell gets really rolling on, you know, Friday and Saturday nights are their big nights. So
it earns its name on weekends for sure.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a quick little thing with Sean. You get up there and start kind of working away. And Sean, you when you're kind of, and Aaron is there as well, because Aaron is really jazzed about this new initiative that you're putting together. You all are, you know, picking up on that. There definitely is increased activity. You're getting, you know, emails back from people who have read the blog, or, you know, through Twitter, whatever social media they're looking at. You're right that there's this kind of interest that has taken off. You also are, you know, picking up on the fact that these little phrases from the 8th Laurel, some of them are kind of really taking off, and you do have like other people who are, you know, taking oaths and doing like little videos of themselves taking some oath or kind of repeating some of the kind of 8th Laurel messages. And you know, for the most part, this is very positive. You know, it seems like, oh, that's great. You know, more people out there, you know, reciting, you know, material about the 8th Laurel.
Yeah.
I would say that there is one story that is disturbing. And it involves, you know, somebody who had gotten it into their minds to do a little selfie video of them, you know, themselves reciting some of this, you know, material about the 8th Laurel. And they wanted to do it in a kind of really unusual place. So they had kind of gone into a construction site where they were building a kind of multi-story apartment building, but it was just kind of the scaffolding there. And they had thought, oh, it'd be kind of cool to kind of climb up to the top of that scaffolding to take this oath. And they you know, they were kind of live streaming it while it was going on. And you know, it ended up being, you know, that they were in the middle of shooting this video. They were climbing up. They were kind of live streaming it, and they weren't being particularly safe when they did this, to say the least. And they ended up in the middle of the live stream. They're reciting something from the 8th Laurel, and they fell.
Oh shit!
They didn't die, but they fell a few stories down, and definitely had, you know, some broken bones and some, you know, damage, internal organ damage, and had to be taken to the hospital. And it was in the middle of a live stream. So that, of course, that has hit the airwaves as well.
Yeah.
When you run across that story, what do you do and what do you say?
I mean, that's horrible. You know, that's tragic that they fell during a live stream. That's really horrible. I mean, wow. It's is it? I'm wondering if it's gonna like how people are gonna like respond to it, having been, you know, while they were doing the oath. I mean, in my mind, it's like doesn't have anything to do with the oath, but that people were doing. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tragedy. I mean, I think I'll like tweet out, you know, like condolences, and this is you know, a horrible tragedy, and you know, it's really unfortunate that you know, that this happened, and you know, and my heart also goes out not just to the, you know, the people who did they like just get hurt, or did somebody die? What exactly happened?
No, they didn't die, but the person who was doing this, they were there with some other people, you know, their friends. The friends were not climbing up, right? It was
okay. So it's just one person who basically like fell and got really hurt.
Right. They got really hurt. Wow. They are still alive, but you know, they got kind of banged up.
Maybe where are they? Do they happen to be local?
No. This would be, okay. You know, we could say that this was off. I mean, your internet, right, has gotten pushed out, and you know, the 8th Laurel, they're kind of based in Central Florida, but you know, with, you know, one of the ideas of them with, you know, having the internet outreach is to kind of
this person's in like Stockholm, Sweden or something. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'll like try and write them like, you know, like a message on social media, you know, be like, you know, hey, I hope you're doing well. You know, that was really, you know, unfortunate that you fell.
Yeah. And you know, when you're kind of looking at the stories that have come out, you can tell that Aaron isn't saying much, but Aaron definitely has a look on his face, which is the kind of look that he gets when his need is being met in a satisfying way.
Okay.
And he says, you know, when you're kind of sending the condolences, he says, well, yeah, that it's only right and proper that you would send condolences, but you know, I think it's working. I think our, you know, our attempt is, you know, the stuff that we're pushing out there and this influence that we're looking for, there are clear signs that we're hitting on something.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that everybody's, you know, really hearing our message and seeing, you know, seeing this light in their lives. But like, I mean, look at this troll here, right? Like, read this tweet. This person's saying some nonsense about how, like, you know, the fanaticism over the 8th Laurel's teaching was like caused this person to climb up there and hurt themselves. I mean, that's clearly nonsense, right? But I mean, what that bothers you though, right, Aaron? I mean, you don't like, you know, there's clearly no connection between the tweets we're sending out and the blog posts and all this work we're doing and this person hurting themselves, right? I mean, that was just like a random thing.
Maybe it was random. I mean, all that I know is that it's more than just our message getting out there. People are doing things, right? You've seen people, you're right? They're out there, they're shooting videos of themselves. They themselves are kind of
Yeah. I love all the
making these
people that are
memes.
posting videos of themselves reciting the oath of the eighth laurel. That is so great.
I mean, you've also seen little memes that people are putting together where, you know, like little phrases and things from some of your blog posts and like other kind of catchy lingo and phrases from the eighth laurel are appearing. And Aaron just says it's getting through, right? The message is getting through and people are, you know, in silly ways acting on it, but they definitely are acting on it.
Yeah. We're changing the world, Aaron. We're really doing it.
Right. And we're gonna, you know, while you're saying this, you know, you definitely hear the noise below of the band getting kind of warmed up, and so you hear, you know, the signs of stirring life down at the smell, and so we're gonna move downstairs now. So we have this we have Dylan. We have Belle is down there. Chuck is down there. People are starting to file in. Alejandro, why don't you describe a little bit like like where are you positioned right now, and what does the smell look like at the beginning of a big Friday night event?
So my computer just did something funny. Sorry. So I'm probably at the door checking IDs, kinda, and you can hear the band in the background. You hear the, you know, the tweaking of sounds and stuff. I think it's you walk in, and it's like a little mini hallway where there's a bathroom, like two like bathrooms that are entirely too small for one person. They're almost uh, like a porta potty size and probably smell about the same. Maybe that's where the name came from. And then it opens up into this huge chamber, um, like just warehouse space. Um, it's not industrial, but it's not clean. I mean, it's just like when they opened it, when the guy bought the building, he just opened to the smell and he didn't do anything inside. And so there's patches of drywall missing and and like all the beams are exposed. So the noise really goes up through the floor into the apartments above. The stage is like just a bunch of 2x4s and slats of wood, just unpainted. Probably the electricity is not to code. Like Dylan plugged in her amp and oh yeah, this one doesn't work. I got to use this other one over here. And then in some like awkward location is the bar, which is probably also a bunch of 2x4s and just pieces of wood, just kind of put together and just this really shitty, like the alcohol's probably just out of bottles and stuff like that.
And where when you're doing your typical you know, carding and bouncer activities, where is your cat usually? Is your cat in this area? Is it outside?
There's a tree, I'm sure, like just down the road a little bit. Sometimes he might be hanging out there. Or he might be like, I imagine that the doorway area is here and that the bar is kind of next to there. So maybe it's like up in a rafter, like watching, but it's within calling distance. Not that that's ever been needed, but just he's always kind of within calling distance.
Okay. And Dylan, the evening gets started. You're getting ready to start out with your first set with the Fisher Kings. Where would Belle be at this point?
So I think Belle first started, like at the beginning, she came and hung out with us, gave compliments to everyone else that are actually veiled instructions, fixed my hair a bit and fixed my jacket. And then I think at this point she's probably gone to the bar where she has a very good view and good sound quality, where she can really enjoy the backstage view of this production that she's put on.
Okay. Yeah, so things start up and Chuck, you see Billy, I mean, who's clearly heard the band starting up. So Billy comes down and he greets you. Billy does seem a little bit worried, and Billy has his own personal cell phone out, and Billy says, "Chuck, there are a couple pictures that I came across that I think you need to see." And he, has it. The phone is turned on, and he already has a picture that is there. This is a picture that came. It's an Instagram account, some type of Instagram account that has a few pictures on it. The first picture shows a picture of your dad, and the picture was taken like outside the living room window, and it shows your dad sitting down, looks like watching TV or something like that. And there's some type of blurred dark gray figure that's positioned next to your dad. And he doesn't seem to be, the dad just seems to be unaware of anything, just looking at the TV. And Billy flips to the next picture, and the next picture is a picture of your mother in a grocery store. And she's just in an aisle picking up some cereal in the grocery store. But again, next to her, there's this curious blurred gray figure that seems to be standing next to her. And Billy flips to the next picture, and it's a picture of your sister. And this time it's like your sister at work. She's what line of work would your sister be?
Let's say she's between Billy and I in age. So she's probably just a clerk, going to community college and is a clerk.
Okay. Yeah. So you kind of see her.
She would probably not be going to community college because we travel around a lot. She probably goes to national, what's that online college, National University. She probably goes to National University and has like a temp job.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, so she, I mean, as a temp job, you know, she would be working in various offices and things like that. So, you know, you see her in some office that you don't know where it is. Again, this is a picture. This one is taken through a window into, you know, a room that has a, it's like a receptionist area for, you guess it may be um, a dentist or some area where, you know, the desk is facing the door that people would be coming through, and she has the phone on it and she's talking on the phone. And again, there's it's taken through a window inside this room. You see that it's your sister. She's on the phone. And once again, there's this strange, grayed, fuzzy looking figure that's next to her. And Billy shows you these and says, this is crazy.
Did you say that there's a funny figure next to all of them?
Right. And every one you can see somewhere in the picture that there's this kind of strange, gray looking figure.
Can I determine if it's demonic or if it's just like the figure?
Why don't we roll? And what would you be looking for? I mean, I think somebody that normally would look at it would say, I mean, it just looks like some like smudgy figure. A lot of people might assume that it's just been photoshopped in or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm aware of this stuff, so and he showed me the chickens, so I mean there's already some I don't know how you would tell through a digital photograph if it was demonic or not, but that's kind of what I'm.
Right. You're looking for like some type of visual sign or clue or something that would be. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let me get you to, I think this would be a lore roll to perceive. And I'm going to assign a countering roll for.
Should I add perception to that?
Well, I mean, there's not really a perception attribute or something like that. You have to kind of look at what the other attributes are and figure out which one would be the.
I have my ability.
Oh, that's right. Yes, there is the. Yeah, I think I would let you do that. You would need to, I think, call upon your cat to be in the vicinity to kind of, I think, see this as well.
Okay. So I kind of step in, so I'm closer to the bar a little bit, and the cat's like in the rafters up above, and so like we're both like the cat's like looking down, like I look up and I make eye contact with the cat, and then I look back down at my phone and I start like examining it.
Yes. So the cat takes a look at that, and so you'll get to add the power of your demon now to this roll. So you have a 4 for your. This would be your lore ability, right? Which would picking up the kind of sorceress presence, and then your demon's power is a 6. So that would give you 10.
Okay, that's my roll.
Let me have to get there. Okay. And I'm going to roll the cover. Get a different color so we know which is which. Yeah, so you get 2 successes, and you do pick up a sign. I mean, the figure is very fuzzy and it's very blurred. but it does seem to have a kind of human-like shape. And with a couple of those photographs, even though it's very fuzzy, there does seem to be something hanging around the figure's neck, which has the vague look of something like your good luck charm.
Hmm.
And it's not super clear, but you say with a couple of those, it looks like there's some type of chicken bone type of trinket that's
chicken's leg, like
yeah.
chicken's cloth, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay. So can I figure out whose account it is?
You would need to go back upstairs, I think, to really. I mean, it has some, some gobbledygook name. It almost looks like just random numbers and letters is the official account name. It doesn't spell anything.
I know there's a geek in the building,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of concerned at this point, although I'm trying not to let it onto my little brother. But I tell my little brother where Sean's apartment is,
Mm-hmm.
and I have him run up there and ask him to come down.
Okay.
And I'll give him a beer. Like I'll get him a beer for if he comes down.
Okay. Yeah, and so you do that, and while some of this was transpiring, Dylan, I got to go back to my notes here. You have noticed, as you're starting your set, you notice Jonathan walking through the door. When you kind of glance over there, you don't see the bouncer over there. The bouncer seems to be occupied with some matter that has taken. But Jonathan walks in, and he comes walking towards the stage. You're in the middle of a performance, so he's not going to interrupt you or anything like that. But he kind of walks down the wall towards the stage. And I mean, Belle is kind of at the other end of the room. I mean, it's the bar does have a very good view of the entrance to this place. So if Belle was looking, there, Belle would pick up on Jonathan's presence. So what do you do?
Well, I mean, it throws me off for a moment because even though so far from Belle, I know that the demon is always watching. So just for a second, I'm a little off on the singing and the guitar playing. I think most of the crowd probably doesn't notice. Belle may, because that's the kind of thing Belle notices. And then I just keep playing.
Okay. As you continue to play, Jonathan settles in. He's looking at you and at the band and seems to be kind of enjoying listening to the music. As this continues on, though, you see that Belle has left the bar and is walking down towards the stage, which also means that she's walking towards Jonathan as well.
Does she have that look on her face?
She has a look on her face. I mean, yeah, I mean that she clearly has seen Jonathan and has a kind of leer that she's staring at him with.
Oof. So I guess like there's nothing really that I can do in the middle of the set. I can call her to return to me, but that would require her like going on the stage. So I'm gonna save that for if she actually does look like she's getting violent. So I'm just gonna keep playing. We're coming near the end of the song, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that once we reach that end, then I can try to do something.
Okay. So what you will do is you will see Belle standing next to Jonathan, and the two of them are in a conversation, although that may be too pleasant. That there clearly are words that are being exchanged, and Jonathan has kind of turned to face. The two of them are definitely kind of standing face to face and having some type of an argument. And I would say, that this argument kind of goes on, but you are near the end of your set. And so you finish up your set. Somebody cues up some, filler music then after this finishes. And what do you do?
I tell my band that I'm just gonna go talk to Belle for a while, and then I head down to Belle and Jonathan. I'm trying to look a little casual, and then I kind of look between them, and then I death glare a bit at Belle and say, "Is everything okay here?"
And Belle says, "I don't think everything is okay here. Jonathan needs to get it through his head that it's over. I mean, the band is awesome. The band is so good. You can see by how much everybody appreciates you. I mean, it is packed there, right? This is a big night that you are being quite successful in terms of turning on the crowd." And Belle says, it's unfortunate perhaps that Jonathan can't play, but clearly Scott is rocking it. I mean, I think things have been turned up to a new level with the Fisher Kings.
Belle, this is something that we're gonna have to discuss with the band. Jonathan, me, and the rest of the Fisher Kings, which doesn't include Scott right now.
Yeah, we'll have further conversation about this, but honestly, I don't know why you would go back to the kind of music that Jonathan was playing. It's clearly not at the same level that things are right now.
Don't diss my friend like that, Belle.
I think at this point, Belle is fuming and is not happy that you are not going to take her advice. And I think Belle at this point turns her back to you and goes walking, kind of fuming back to the bar, and kind of sits there leering at Jonathan. Jonathan is like, when she leaves, Jonathan says, "What is her problem? Like, I don't know why she has it out for me." Now, does Jonathan know that Belle is the one responsible for these injuries? I mean, was that like, because you have a ranged attack on your on your special damage. Does he know that Belle is the one who did this? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, Belle was there. You were there when this happened. It seemed like something. He's not. I guess he was knocked unconscious, so doesn't really know exactly what happened, or at least if not unconscious, got really banged up and concussed. So it's kind of a blur in his mind exactly what happened. But yeah, he says, what is her problem? Why does she have it out for me?
So Dylan just is like, he has this look like, there's no way I can explain this. And then he says a little unconvincingly, yeah, I don't know, man. She's just, I don't know. She has this thing for Scott or something. She just wanted him in the band this whole time. But don't worry about it. I mean, she's not our manager or anything. She can't say anything.
Yeah, she creeps me out though. I don't know what it is about her, but she just seems like, I don't know why she has it out for me, and she just when I'm around her, bad vibes. I mean, and it's more than just hating me, that there's something really disturbing about her. Like she's not right up here.
Well, maybe you should just stay away from her for a bit. Give me some time to talk to her. Let her cool off a bit. I don't know. Maybe she's jealous or something. We've been friends for like, what, 10 years now?
Yeah, we go back. So yeah, I think I'll just stay and maybe listen to your next set, and then as you're wrapping up the next set, I'll leave. I have no desire tonight to get into it with Belle. I'm enjoying what you're doing. I love the music. It's great. And I'm thinking, why don't we end it there? It'll be kind of something of a cliffhanger, because we've got a lot of things, in the air at the moment to play out. But this seems like a good time to stop. And if we want to, do we want to just go around once and people can, do a quick stars and wishes, things that they're enjoying about the session for today, and things that they're looking forward to or that they want to kind of explore for the next session? That sound good?
Yeah. I'd like to say that I'm enjoying the interesting conflict between between Dylan and Belle. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. You definitely have control over, well, you only have a 1, but still, you have control over your, but when that starts coming to a head, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think Sean had some I think it's really interesting how I like seeing Walter play into the Sean's excitement that feeds into his demon's need, and that's kind of cool. Like I'm looking forward to see how that bites him in the ass. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the comedy, whether intentional or not, between Aaron and Sean, where it's like they completely want different things, and they're talking at cross purposes almost, but they both agree followers are good, and it's just hilarious to me. And I love the way that you're playing Sean, by the way.
Thanks. I've been watching Chuck dealing with his family having this like some kind of demon issue thing. It's cool because it makes it I don't know, puts like an interesting personal spin on it, that it's like the family is so integrated, and just like how you're, you know, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that like ties back with, because it sounds like you've built into your conception of your character that he had a really rough time growing up. So I'm curious to see how that's gonna like play in together. And then yeah, I like the dynamic with Dylan's band and with Belle, and you're Robbie, you're doing I like how you're playing Jonathan in these interactions, and poor Jonathan. I feel for him.
Yeah, and I just you know, I love the jobs that you all are doing with your characters. I mean, I think with you know, with Jenny, you and Walter both are really doing, I think, a wonderful job of, you know, both of you have a certain kind of naivete to you that's, you know, that's obviously kind of building, because, you know, your demons are perhaps not as naive. And I think that there's a really interesting dynamic going on. And Alejandro, I loved the fact that with the end of the session, with the Instagram pictures, that it crossed your mind of like, oh yeah, there's that computer guy upstairs who, right, can be, you know, we could send Billy up there and you know, get in touch with him, which I think, you know, obviously, you know, because right now it's like we have these characters there in proximity with each other, but you know, with that move, obviously there's kind of you know, this interrelationship that's going to get established with that, which will be interesting. Yeah, and I would just say that all of you are making my job very, very fun. That, you know, I'm you know, just trying to think of little things that I can kind of float out there for you, but you all are doing a really nice job of taking those items and kind of running with them. And it's I don't know exactly where the story is going, but it is definitely moving along, and there's like a lot of intrigue and interesting conflicts that are nicely bubbling along here.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I really love the way social media is playing into this, with like the incredibly creepy use of Instagram, and just like, even without the super creepy gray figure, it's like, I can see why Chuck would be worried. And the use of Twitter, like just something about Jesus being on Twitter, I think that was something you said, Walter. I don't know, and I feel like it's just playing into all this stuff about like privacy and boundaries, and
yeah, I'm looking forward to the characters getting together. I really like Alejandro's move at the end to go get Sean from upstairs. I think that'll be a fun piece to like link our stories finally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll maybe call it to a close today. Are you all okay with me making the video public?
Yeah, I suppose so. I might. I was pretty tired today, but as far as I can tell, it turned out well.
Okay. Well, I'll do that. If you look at it and there's something in there that you're saying, no, this isn't good, you know, just let me know. Okay. And then I will plan to see you all again, same time, same channel next week. Okay. And I think things will, with where we left them, I mean, things are going to be, you know, taking off very quickly next week, because we're right in the middle of a pretty juicy scene, I think, right now. All right. I will see you next week. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye-bye.